I always leave the inside cover blank. You move some stuff out of the way here. It says I started this journal on December 19th, 2018. It's been a while since I've done much with it. I picked it up recently and discovered it had some blank pages, so went with it. And there's just some various notes. Got a barn over here. Doing some pattern design. More notes. Got some oil paint on it, so now we have some foxing on here. Grain bin studies. Blank pages. And I've been doing swatches for a long time, and I noticed recently there's a lot of videos that get a lot of views. People are doing quote-unquote swatching and color mixes on YouTube. But when I get new products, I typically do this. Or if I haven't used the product in a while, and when I say a while, I'm talking like 5, 6, 10 years, I'll put the colors down so that I know what it is the colors look like when they're wet. The soft pastels, these are Rembrandt. These are Neo Color 2. Terry Ludwig pastels that I bought. Pastel study of a rural Iowa landscape. This is Rembrandt soft pastel, storm grays, dark grays. Let's see what these were back here. Yeah, this was my original set that was given to me by a classmate. He liked what I was doing, so he gave me his set at the time, which was really expensive. This is like 1995 of soft pastels and Van Gogh oil pastels, and that was a huge thing for me because I really truly was a starving student, and it was a really, really sweet gift for him to give me. He was an engineering student. For the class that we were taking, you had to have a set of soft pastels and a set of oil pastels and a set of acrylic inks and a set of watercolors and a set of gouache paints. And that was a lot of money back in 1994, 1995-ish. You know, you're talking like $300-400 because at that time, we didn't have Hobby Lobby or Michael's here. What we had was the university bookstore and campus bookstore, so they could charge whatever they wanted because, yeah, they're sitting ducks. This is Wallace and Seymour. I got these from Jean Oliver. Go to jeanoliver.com. She has a store. You can buy them. She's the American distributor. I am not an affiliate of Jean's. I don't get anything for recommending her classes or the products she sells. This is the turquoise green cigar, pigment cigar, and this is the indigo cigar. This is the indigo chunk, the cobalt turquoise chunk, and the raw sienna chunk. And yeah, I'll be getting more of these in the future. I just bought these 3 because I wanted to see how they performed. Another soft pastel drawing. Again, if someplace here in rural Iowa, if you remember my Patreon group, I've been started loading images from the 1990s and 2000s and 2010s into my Patreon group, the ones that I find most inspiring, the ones that inspire my artwork, like my Field Notes series, etc. And those are the images that I go back to repeatedly for drawing and painting. And mostly they're my favorite marsh in Hamilton County, York Border Marsh. Rembrandt Yellow Ochre Soft Pastels. And then this is Pan Pastels. Again, I take these out every once in a while. I'm not the best pan pastel user. I like them for certain applications. For other applications, yeah, not so much. They work really good on a particular type of paper that, to be quite honest, I haven't purchased because it's too expensive. It's called Pastel Made or Pastel Art or something like that. A landscape I was starting. Rembrandt Burnt Siennas up here. And I forget which Rembrandt soft pastels these are down here. It's one of the other sets that I bought. Just doing some swatching. Here's the Earth Red, Rembrandt soft pastels, the Cool Greens, which actually look more like a turquoise color. And the Earth Reds, to be really honest, they look more mauve than red. Oh, hey, it's this guy. My rat. My plastic studio mascot, because my real studio mascot is Frankie. This is a 5-minute sketch. I did that this year. So in December 2021, I broke you can kind of sort of see the scar there, broke my thumb and pulled the ligaments off the thumb trying to open a tamper-resistant package of organic radish sprouts. And in September of 22, I finally had surgery on my hand after a couple of things to kind of help mitigate the pain and free up movement. It failed to work. They went in, they did surgery, found a cyst when they were in there, and I've been back in drawing ever since. This is a 3-minute drawing using a red grease pencil. These are grease pencils, and you can buy them in multi-packs on Amazon. And if you got like a Dick Blick or Jerry's Artorama store near you, you can probably get them there too. This is the rat again. I don't know how well you can see that. It's in a turquoise watercolor pencil. Here he is in a turquoise Rembrandt soft pastel. And here's using a pastel pencil. This is my cousin Donna's cat Rue. I was doing some rough sketches to kind of catch his essence. He passed away this past January. So I'm doing more sketches of him in pencil. Here I used a colored pencil. Rue's favorite color was green because he had toys, but the only toys he would keep and play with were the green little apple thingies. Here he is. I'm going to say that's a charcoal pencil. Here comes Frankie. And charcoal and graphite. And some paint colors. Doing some more testing and swatching, comparing some watercolors to acrylic to something else, I don't know. This is my gelatos. Some swatching. I've found them after not having used them for a while. Gotta get better at dating these pages. Well, I did date the page here. It's April 1st. This is the gelatos. I did an apple with gelatos. And here we have the Daniel Smith tube paints. And so this is the Under the Sea Green watercolor in a tube and the watercolor crayon. I do not like the watercolor crayons. A lot of people love them. Not a fan. I'm going to stick to my crayon d'arche. Selenier. I ordered 2 sets of those. Soft pastels, Stormy Sky and Summer Sky. If you see, anytime you see on my papers, like for instance this is oil pastels, a variety of brands. I was comparing whites, and I had one that was white, but it looked weird, and it turns out it was a blender, so I circled it in white. Here, in this set, there is a very pale color, and actually I should have done that to both of those, because you see, there's another color right here, and go around them, so that way, if it gets rubbed enough off it over time, I'll know, look and see what color it is in this set. I do have a program on my iMac, iPhone, iPad called Notes, and in there, when I buy these sets, I write down the color numbers, so that way if I end up using, say, a lot of this pink or this white or this really pale blue, and I end up using it up, I can go back to like Dick Blick or Jerry Artorama and buy that color through their open stock. This is a Brixley Foxtail. Curly Dock. That's what I did last month. I guess I was going to draw a red sorrel and I didn't get it done, but I got the seed heads done. And I wrote down the colors I was going to use, which were Derwent's and Faber-Castell colors. Magnolia grandiflora seed pod. And these are the color swatches here that I used. Yeah, there's nothing down here on the bottom of this one. And so I got the colors here, wrote some notes. Gouache color studies to work on getting these colors. I use a variety of products when it comes to watercolors, oil paints, gouache. There really is no rhyme or reason to it. My only recommendation is use artist grade only. Even if you are an absolute beginner, trust me, you are going to be so much happier with the artist grade. You use so incredibly very little of the stuff anyway to start with, so the tube should last you a good while. More gouache watercolor studies, trying to capture the magnolia seed pod. More wash studies. And this was using up my gouache off of my palette paper painting. So, you know, not really anything in particular, but you know what you can do is you could take pages like this, you could cut them up or tear them into pieces and make other paintings, other collage with them. And if you haven't done so, I highly recommend Googling collage artists who cut up their paintings to make new paintings in the UK, 1900s. There's a whole bunch of artists who employed those types of techniques, and the work is fascinating. And it's amazing because you can use up pieces like this, and it's kind of like, oh, well, that's junk. Yeah, maybe, maybe not. This was the peony I did yesterday. Oil pastels. And it looked much better on black. So this is where tone paper is your friend. If you see the little black flecks in there, that's because those were really old oil pastels, like these Van Gogh ones that my classmate gave me. They're pushing 30 years old now, and they're become weird, waxy. I know weird's not a very good description, and I apologize for that, but they've become quite waxy. And so when you run the pastel across the paper like that, it's fine, but then when you lift the pastel up, it makes these little dippling marks, which are kind of sort of enduring, but you know, it's a learning experience. I still need to take some notes over here. I have a white gel pen. This is a Signo, Uniball Signo gel pen, UM-153. Best white gel pens on the market, and I buy them by the caseload, 12 pens at a whack. And I'll write over here with this. You could also write on this with a silver pencil or a white pencil. Also, that's that Soho block paper, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. So I think that's it. I've just got a few pages left, and then this notebook will be finished. And overall, aside from the cat and the dog making their presence known, I guess he's wanting me to let me know he needs to go outside. That's a studio tour for this journal. And the paper is Canson extra large mixed media paper, 98 pound. It's the 5.5 by 8.5 inch sketchbook journal, whatever you want to call it. So thank you for joining me.